In this episode, I'm going to be traveling deep into the backcountry of Utah. I'm actually going to be traveling into the famous Bears Ears National Monument, and we'll be even driving through the Bears Ears. My destination is the most intact Puebloan structure in the American Southwest. It's not even ruins, it's entirely intact. I'm going to be going through canyons and going in elevation changes from 4,000 feet above sea level to 9,500 and back down and up and down again to get to this site. It's highly inaccessible, and the canyon I'll be passing through is almost as deep as the Grand Canyon. The final destination is a beautiful Puebloan granary. If you know the name of this site, please do not list it in the comments. I'm trying to keep this low-key so that it can stay in this perfectly preserved condition. But I hope you enjoy this journey and seeing this site up close and personal. Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here, and in today's video, this video is special. We are going way back into the backcountry. So far I'm back, and I have an archaeologist who's going to be a guide to take me out to this site. I'm not going to mention this site because this is the best preserved adobe structure anywhere. You can't even call it ruins. It's 100% intact. The site we're going to go see, it's actually an ancient granary, but we're also going to maybe take a look at the village that ran this granary, because we found it on LiDAR scans. You can't see it from on the surface. So we might also visit that as well on this trip. We're going to take a look and see. But this granary, this is perfect, flawless, inside and out, all the beams, all the walls, everything. But we're having to get way back in the backcountry. I'm extremely high up right now, and we're actually going to go through the Bears Ears of the famous Bears Ears National Monument. So it's kind of cool to go through the Bears Ears. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and jump in and take you on this journey, because this is going to be wild. We're at about 7,000 feet in elevation right now. We're going to have to go up another 2,000 feet higher and then drop down into a gorge. A lot of the driving on this trip I did not record because some of these roads were very sketchy. Only when it was nice and open like this, or when we were going through a forest, was I able to actually capture any of the driving. I'm up here in front of one of the Bears Ears. You can look up here. You can see it. Now, these Bears Ears, these things, these were important markers for people. And in this area, there's a lot of very vital markers. There's Shiprock in New Mexico, which you can see from here. And there's Ute Mountain. And then there's these Bears Ears. These were important because you could see them for like 100 miles away. And so you know where to go. You just head towards that and go down this wash, go down. Otherwise, this landscape is so tortured, so easy to get lost if you're trying to have communication. And this has been since ancient times. This Bears Ears Pass has been interesting. Looks like the elevation here, let's take a look here. Looks like the elevation here is pretty high. Looks like we're about 9,058 feet, which I like to point out, that's higher than Machu Picchu, which is famous for being so high. And the site we just came out of was really desolate and desert, but we're getting into this side and it's all pine trees. It's all pine forests. We're gonna get down in there and we're gonna go find this site. This region has a rain shadow, and the side we were on was desolate, but we're coming over to this side that has pine trees everywhere. And we were lucky enough to see a gray fox. This unique enigmatic species is not closely related to the red fox or any other fox species. They're one of the earliest foxes, genetically speaking. He came out and looked at us, and we were able to enjoy just seeing and spending a little bit of time with him there. We then continued on, driving further up and going through these beautiful ponderosa pines. These forests make it look like you're just in a forest, but we're actually on top of a mesa, thousands of feet above sea level. We came across a California ground squirrel. These unique species are impervious to the venom of rattlesnakes, which try to hunt them. The adult ground squirrels will gather up shed skin from rattlesnakes, chew it up into a pulp, and rub it all over their bodies. This is a form of olfactory camouflage to try to hide their scent from the tasting of a rattlesnake. Now, the juvenile ground squirrels are not impervious, and so the mother will also rub this paste all over the babies to prevent them from being eaten by rattlesnakes. This particular ground squirrel was not on the ground, but was up in a tree, watching diligently out for eagles or red-tailed hawks that might try to eat him. We kept driving, following our archaeologist guides, going deeper and deeper in the backcountry. And again, these beautiful forests look like you're just out in the low country, but again, this is thousands and thousands of feet above sea level. Every once in a while, we would reach a spot where we could look out just a little bit. And these overlooks are incredible. These videos do not do justice. It's like as deep as the Grand Canyon in a way that just overwhelms your senses. The landscape goes on and on forever, and these deep canyon gorges are almost overwhelming. But we're going over to the top on that far end, the very tip top. We're going all the way out on that mesa. We're going to have to go back and forth down this canyon, up this canyon, and anytime we're on top is when I would film. But anytime we were driving through the deep canyons, the roads were so sketchy and scary that I didn't take time to film. These vantage points are so beautiful. And it's amazing to think of people scrambling up and down, going 3,000 feet in elevation, climbing and going all the way down to the river. It's insane to think of what people went through. Now, the side that we're going to, this canyon area, if you see, we're making it all the way out to a parking spot, and then we're going to hike down into this canyon. If you see this little alcove, it's sort of white, kind of tan colored. We're going to go down in there. But we're also, if you look over here to this little patch of trees, it's almost a pentagram shape. We've done LiDAR scans, and we've seen, if you see this circle in the center, we can clearly see some masonry. So we're going to go check this out afterwards and see if we can find this. Even in the parking lot, we found a lithic. This is a flake off from flint knapping when somebody was making some sort of a tool or of an arrowhead. As soon as we started walking down the canyon, we heard the call of a canyon wren. And we looked over and could see the ruins. It's almost as though the canyon wren was welcoming us there. I often think about what sources of protein people had in this area. We found what was left of a tree squirrel tearing apart fir cones. Tree squirrels will stash these fir cones over the winter, and they'll eat them, and you can see the flakes off. Tree squirrels are very common, and they are an excellent source of protein. I think hunting one of these with a bow and arrow would be a bit like eating a Happy Meal, and we saw flakes or little pieces all over. This is the alcove, and you can see just how well hidden these ruins are.
Okay, well, we are at this site now, and this is incredible. And the interesting thing is, when we recently visited the Baker, Nevada Fremont site, the granaries like this, they're the same dimensions. They're 2 rooms, and they literally have the same dimensions. Pretty incredible. So I'm gonna film this, and I'm just gonna record B-roll over explaining it all. But this is a really incredible site. It seems surreal. It doesn't seem like it's an actual real place.
As soon as I got there, I did several LiDAR scans to try to give you a better 3-dimensional sense of what the site is actually like. Now, the LiDAR scan isn't perfect because I couldn't get the best angles. The roof is 100% intact, and you'll see that soon in person with the regular video camera. But again, it's interesting, it's built into an alcove, but it has a wall in back. Usually these granaries are built directly into the rock and don't have a back wall. And if you can see this, it's absolutely stunning. There's beautiful beams, and there's 2 rooms. They're separated inside by a wall. And again, these beams stick out. There are some archaeologists who have hypothesized that there was maybe sort of an awning over this covering, making a little shade, but it really wouldn't have provided much protection. But underneath each of these is bright red pigment. I've never seen anybody mention this at this site, but it looks as though these were originally painted with some sort of a red ochre pigment. Now, we don't think much about cutting down beams, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but there's a lot that actually goes into harvesting these ponderosa pine beams. And it's easy to overlook it today with our use of modern tools. Looking inside, the walls are much thicker than you would think, and there's not as much space inside. Now, it's easy to think of these as rooms to live in, but I'll tell why in a minute that it's believed that these were just granaries. The beams on top, the roof is in perfect shape, 100% flawless shape. Looking across the walls there were droppings of a small bird that looked to be the size of either a screech owl or a saw-whet owl. And there's also these black marks here. These are the droppings left from pack rats. Now, I'm surprised that the pack rats have not done more damage to the inside of this place or not have turned it into a pack rat midden. It's one of the things that slowly decomposes a site is rodents getting in and doing their thing. Now, going around the backside, you can see just how beautifully intact these walls are. Again, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing in this site to warrant it being called ruins. It is 100% intact in every way. Now, taking a look on top, you can see that there's a rock line down the middle, and the Forest Service has put up signs reminding you to stay off the roof. We don't want to cause any damage or any abrasion or put any weight on those beams, as those beams are about 800 years old. Now, taking a look at these posts, I did a LiDAR scan of these just so you can get a better look at it. Now, consider that these had to be cut with stone axes held by hand without a handle, and you can see the cut marks throughout this. But these beams give us something very important, as the clay and the rock is inorganic, but the wood is organic. And if you look at the bottom, you can see this little plug with a number 8. Dendrochronologists working with the archaeologists have taken an increment borer and taken out a core sample to be able to date this site and know exactly when this was cut. This is how we know that this site is 800 years old. Now, looking at the geography and the actual geology actually of this background, this is not a very safe alcove. It's amazing that it hasn't all collapsed down flake by flake onto these ruins. Now, in the back of the alcove, there's a lot of rodent tracks. And it's interesting to see all these because these rodents would eat the dried corn in these granaries. So the entire purpose of these granaries is to prevent those rodents from being here. But there were rodent tracks all over the place. Looking again at the corners, they're squared up beautifully, and it's amazing to think of how much effort went into making this site so beautifully in construction. Again, on top you can see these stones. These stones mark the boundary between the two sides. And again, you can see the sign saying to not actually climb on top. If you ever visit this site, please be respectful of that fact. Again, looking out front, we're going to take a peek in the other door. But there's these beams that, again, some people think were for shade, but again, you can see they're not very long. They wouldn't have provided much shade. It's possible that other things like meat or corn were dried on, just hung off the top out the front there where the sun would reach. Again, looking in this, you can see just how well that masonry is done. And we get another view again, taking a look at that red pigment all over each of these beams. Red ochre is common in the area, and it was used as a paint. It was mixed with hide glue so that it would last and not just wash away. And you can see it doesn't do justice, but it's far more red in person. Again, this is just an absolutely beautiful sight. It seems surreal, and it almost seems just like a magical place, like it's not even real. Now, we also found out front a few pieces of burnt corn, little pieces of corn on the cob that were totally carbonized. We took some pictures and some video, and we left them there. just so other people can enjoy them if they see them. Now, as we left the alcove to go look at the other archaeological site, we noticed some masonry in the river. You cannot see it well in this video, but it appears to be some sort of a catch pond, a way to trap the water that washes down the little wash there. Now, we often think about what other forms of protein were in the area, and we found droppings from elk. Now, elk are common in this range, and elk provide a whole lot of food. They also provide a very good hide for sleeping, and it makes sense that they were there now and that they were there back then, and this is something they were hunted. We also found multiple tracks from mule deer. Mule deer are even more common than the elk, and mule deer are also an excellent source of protein and antlers for making tools and weapons, and also a good hide. We ended up finding a different archaeological site. We did not find the site that the LiDAR picked up, but we found a different site. This was very unusual because this was just dry masonry. There was no adobe clay used to hold this together. The structure was mostly fallen apart, and it even had trees growing out from it. It looks like it was about 80 feet by about 40 feet, and there was not much left. It's interesting to think if this was the exact same people as who built the granary, or if this was a different people who came later or earlier. But again, some of the rocks looked as though they were chiseled, squared. So interesting to have such loose dry masonry and yet have rocks that look like they were chiseled to a specific pattern. You can see going all the way back here, you can see the other walls, just how far those extend. It's easier to see in person. But again, somebody stacked these rocks 800 years ago, at least, and then walked away and never stacked them again. Across the ridge, we could see ruins. You can't see them without binoculars, but there were other ruins right here that definitely were within signaling distance. So if these people were to make any sort of a fire-based signal, as we know the ancestral Puebloan people did, this would have been a perfect vantage point. We also found a lithic. This is another flake. We took a quick look at it and left it there. But again, this is a piece showing some advanced flint knapping that was done on site. Well, this was an incredible journey. This was really unique to be able to get this deep into the backcountry and see a site that very few people get to see. To see something 800 years old in such pristine condition, it was remarkable, and it was really moving to try to think about who were the ancient people who lived at this site. What did they do, and why did they want to store their corn in such an isolated location? I look forward to visiting this site again. Please remember, if you know what this site is, or if you intend to visit it, please do not list the name of it online. This is one of the very few truly intact sites in the American Southwest, and we want to keep it that way. And the fewer foot traffic we get going through this area, the better. So if you do go visit yourself, go ahead, take pictures and videos and share them, but maybe consider not listing the name of the site. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed going along on this little journey with me. And I hope it will inspire you to also get out and also explore. And always remember that life is a gift. So never stop learning and never stop exploring. We'll see you next time.